Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I want to talk to you about bioidentical hormones. There is a lot of confusion, a lot of trepidation, a lot of concern about hormones. There's a very big difference between bioidentical and synthetic. And unfortunately, when the Women's Health Initiative came out, it was stopped. There was a nurses study, and then there was the Women's Health Initiative. Both of those studies were stopped. This is going back many years ago, but they were using synthetic hormones, and they saw an increased risk for breast cancer and heart disease and various problems. And all of a sudden, the big no hormones for anybody, and that was very unfair to women who then were going through menopause and could not sleep because of hot flashes and night sweats at night and hot flashes during the day and being so miserable. And it's not just about hot flashes, it's what happens mentally when you're that exhausted. It's what happens mentally when you don't have enough hormones. Dr. Bredesen, who wrote the book, The End of Alzheimer's, he reminded us the fact that every brain cell has a receptor site for sex hormones. So it's not just about the fertile years and having enough hormones to be fertile and make babies. Your brain needs adequate hormones the whole rest of your life. And your grandmother and grandfather probably did fine, but since then, unfortunately, with the advent of a lot of chemicals in our environment, we have a lot of estrogen-like chemicals coming in that are really altering our hormone levels. It's giving men too much estrogen, so they have less testosterone and they're less fertile. Women, when estrogen comes in from an outside source, the body makes less estrogen. So we have young women that we're doing their blood, and we're taking their blood, and they almost look menopausal, and they're in their 20s or 30s, which this is unheard of. Yet in the last probably 5-7 years, we've been seeing it more and more, and it's absolutely a trend. It's an absolute occurrence, and it has to do with the chemicals in dairy products and beef and just chemicals in our environment. So it's what we're eating, it's what we're putting on our skin and inhaling, and I know that can sound like, conspiracy theory, but it's a fact. And so we have a tremendous amount of hormonal imbalance. Look at the number of women on birth control pills. Those are synthetic hormones, by the way, and they're terrible. And women who get on synthetic hormones and their periods are never the same, they're not fertile, a whole host of problems from synthetics. So synthetic versus bioidentical, bio-life identical too. So the compound you're giving in a bioidentical hormone is exactly the same compound that your body manufactures. So the body sees it as a like substance. And I just met a woman, and she's in her early 60s, beautiful woman. She travels the world and very busy, and she's like, I just feel like I need some help. I'm exhausted. I don't sleep that well. I still have hot flashes, even though I'm in my 60s, and I feel like I'm aging. And it's just not about appearance, but the mental cognitive effects. I did a lecture today on, preventing cognitive decline, and hormones were an integral part of that. We need adequate levels of hormones throughout life. And yes, they're different between 20, 30, and 60, but there are biological levels that are healthy, and many of us do not have those levels. So you can have irritability, depression, mood swings, memory issues, trouble concentrating, trouble sleeping, the body breaking down from the viewpoint of sagging skin, and you don't have as much muscle, you have more fat, you work out and you still can't build muscle. It's a whole host of issues, but the point I want to get across is that bioidentical hormones administered correctly are a very important thing in today's society where our hormone levels are compromised. Now, so this woman said to me, she goes, well, what about the whole cancer scare? And I said, well, bioidentical is very different from synthetic. And she was like, what about breast cancer? And you know, when you think about women developing breast cancer, when do they do it? They develop it in their typically 50s and 60s. Young women who have robust hormone levels are not developing breast cancer. It's not the hormones, it's not natural hormones that are causing breast cancer. It's compromised immunity and synthetic hormones for sure. We know that those can do that. An imbalance of hormones, but it's not bioidentical hormones. You can't blame natural hormones on creating cancer. It just doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, for ovarian cancer, it's very protective to have taken hormones and to take hormones. Women who haven't had children and never took hormones are at a higher risk for ovarian cancer than those who have. So there is a lot of fear mongering out there. There's a lot of gynecologists who really don't appreciate the difference between the synthetic and the bioidentical because they really just don't have experience with it. It's very interesting when you read case studies on hormones, and they're all about synthetic hormones, yet they use the incorrect languaging. They use the word progesterone, which is one of the natural hormones that we women make, when they really use the synthetic progestin, and they don't make the distinction. If you dig deep into the study, you'll find it, but they kind of, even the nomenclature, the languaging that they're using is very confusing, and it's all kind of muddled. So the reason I want to talk about this is that there's young women suffering with infertility and depression and mood swings, and then there's older women who are suffering with cognitive issues, sleep issues, mood issues, trouble concentrating, and let's not leave out the men who are also suffering from too much estrogen, not enough testosterone. And it's not just about give me a hormone, it's a balance. So in other words, for the bioidentical hormones to work, you have to have good gut function and liver function. So that's why we look at the body as a whole, because it all has to be taken into account. The administration system that we used here at the clinic, it's called a troche. So it's a little like a piece of gum, like almost like a mint size, and it's a little minty. But you put it up between your teeth and cheek, so up there. It's called the buccal mucosa, but it's placed up there inside your mouth above your gum, right at your gum line, and it dissolves to nothing. So why that versus a cream versus a patch versus a pill? So when the body secretes hormones, it basically just dumps them right into the bloodstream, and they go where they need to go. And this putting the hormone there mimics that, because it's not under the tongue where your saliva, you're swallowing some. Way up there, it goes right into the bloodstream, and it mimics what your body does naturally. So that's why we use that administration system. Creams, you have a fatty layer, at least women do, underneath their skin, and so at first it works well if you're really deficient, and then it starts to work less well. So it's very important to administer it correctly where blood levels are stable, and that's how we check. And the other thing with pills is you can't change the dosage of a pill. With a bioidentical hormone that you're getting compounded, which is what we do, we work with a compounding pharmacy, you can make very little tweaks depending on you, because we're all different. And I've been on a very similar dose for a very long time now, but in my early days of menopause, we were tweaking things, and it's like that for different people at different stages of their life. They need little tweaks, but we measure your blood, and I know if you've delved into this at all or asked your gynecologist, they'll say, oh, you can't tell by the blood because it's all over the place. That's not true. Whether you're a cycling woman or a menopausal woman, there is proper times to draw the blood so you get consistent results. So I just wanted to debunk some of the fears, because too many women, mostly women, are living with symptoms, not being as strong as they want to be, not being as fit as they want to be, not mentally being as cognitive as they want to be, not sleeping. Boy, talk about a risk for cancer. If you're not sleeping well, that will increase your risk for cancer because your natural killer cells aren't cleaning house every night. That's when your immune system works, is at night when you're asleep. So if you've been suffering, if you've kind of been told you can't take hormones, realize there's a huge difference between bioidentical and synthetic. On our website, rootcausemedicalclinics.com, under services, I have a little bit of an article that I wrote on the bioidentical hormone. So if you want to read about it, not just have me tell you about it, you can get a lot more data that way as well. So if you're someone who's been thinking about hormones, wondering if they might help you, please reach out. That's why we're here. The telephone number here is 408-733-0400. And the website again is rootcausemedicalclinics.com. I'll see you soon.